Let's talk about navigating new data regulations, like the DPDPA. Honestly, it can feel like you're trying to solve a puzzle with a million pieces just scattered everywhere. You've got all this personal data, right? But no clear picture of how it all fits together, especially for compliance. So, in the next few minutes, we're going to build the blueprint that turns that puzzle into a clear, finished masterpiece. For way too many companies, data compliance feels exactly like this, a maze. Every turn leads to another dead end of scattered spreadsheets and siloed systems. But what if you had a map? Well, that's what we're here to do. We're going to create a clear path from all that complexity to total clarity.
Okay, be honest. Does this feel familiar? Your data is scattered all over the place, there's no single source of truth, and now some new regulation comes along and demands you have it all figured out. This isn't just a headache, it's a huge, huge risk. But believe it or not, the solution is surprisingly elegant. So first, let's just quickly set the stage. The DPDPA, it's basically the new rulebook for data responsibility. It dictates exactly how you have to handle personal information, which is precisely why having a perfect data inventory has gone from being a nice-to-have to a legal must-have.
Now, at the heart of this new rulebook is something called the data principle. It's a really simple concept. It's the person your data is about. Your customer, your user, your employee. And since the law is designed to protect them, it gives us a massive clue about how we should be organizing our data.
So, how do you solve a maze? You don't try to map every single twisting path all at once. No, you find its center. And for our data, that center is what we're going to call the nucleus. Once you find it, you'll see that everything else just naturally falls into place around it.
This right here, this is the fundamental shift in thinking you need to make. Stop seeing your data as this giant, faceless database. Instead, start with the individual, the data principle. This simple reframe is probably the most powerful key to unlocking compliance.
So we call this starting point the nucleus of personal data. It is the absolute core of your inventory. And what is it really? Well, it's just a single unique identifier for every single person whose data you hold.
The power of this idea is just how simple it is. It's just one. Not a tangled mess of customer numbers or email addresses that can change. Just one stable, unique ID that represents one individual. This becomes the unshakable anchor for your entire system. Okay, so with that core principle established, let's get practical. How do you actually build this thing? It's a pretty straightforward three-step blueprint that puts this whole idea into action.
Here's the roadmap. First, we identify that nucleus, that single unique ID for each person. Second, we expand out from there, linking all the other data points to it. And third, we group that data by the process, or basically the reason we have it in the first place. Let's zoom in a little on step 2. Once you have that unique ID for, let's say, Jane Doe, you start linking everything else to it. Her email, her shipping address, her support ticket history, every single piece of data gets tethered right back to that one central nucleus.
And now for step 3, which is absolutely the key to DPDPA compliance. For every single piece of data you've linked, you have to add a process ID. Think of this as a simple tag that answers the most critical question of all. Why do we even have this? It becomes your official justification for every data point.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. Jane Doe's email is tagged MKTG-01 because, well, it's used for newsletters. Her shipping address gets ship-01 for order fulfillment. Her phone number gets serve-01 for customer support. All of a sudden, every single piece of data has a clear documented purpose.
So what's the result of all this work? Well, you move from that data chaos we started with, that confusing maze, to a state of absolute clarity and control. Let's take a look at the payoff. Just look at the difference here. Before, you had unlinked information, crazy high risk, and just inefficient operations. Now, with this nucleus-based approach, you get a centralized 360-degree view of each person. Your inventory is totally DPDPA ready, and your data is no longer a liability. It's a strategic asset.
And this brings us to the final and most crucial question. This isn't theoretical. I really want you to go back to your team and ask this. What is the single, unique identifier that represents an individual in our systems? Because finding the nucleus of your data, that's the first and most important step on your entire path to compliance.